Good evening. Meeting called to order. Welcome to our January workshop, or actually our January regular session. We have some exceptional achievements that we're going to be awarding today, so we're very thankful you could join us. And thank you for braving the weather, so please be sure you get home safely when we all adjourn. Roll call, Mrs. Hackett.
All members of the board are present, and we have a quorum.
Excellent. Please rise as we recite the pledge, led by Mr. Phillips. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, we begin our special presentations with the semi-state football game, First Responders. And with that, we have Dr. Walbringing. Thank you.
Very special presentation this evening. If those of us that were at the game, semi-state game, we had our first responders do what they're supposed to do, and we're very thankful they did. And we have a wonderful man named Joe Calderazzo with us tonight as a result of these fantastic and very quick and appropriate first responders. Wolfie, can you come up and help me recognize these first responders, and say a few words, if you would.
Thanks, Dr. Wall. Certainly when you're an athletic administrator, you think about things like police officers, emergency medical personnel, and you have them at your games, and game after game after game, it seems as if they're really not doing anything. And I don't really care if they don't do anything on those days, as long as they do what they did at the semi-state game. And I think Joe would say, and certainly all of us would say, they did an outstanding job, just short of miracle workers. And we're very, very excited and proud and happy to have them as partners with us, all the folks from St. Vincent Sports Medicine and Sports Performance. So I better stop at this point. Thanks, Dr. Wall.
Thanks, Wolfie. Appreciate it. And with us this evening, we have representatives from the St. Vincent Sports Performance. We thank them for coming out tonight. Mara Flynn, if you'd come up for a minute, we'll get you a certificate. But stay up here, please, if you would. And Steve Schofield's here. If you'd stay up here. And others that were very instrumental that evening but could not make it this evening, Todd Arnold, Robert Zakowski, Brittany Ritter, and then from Penn High School, we had the emergency personnel, Tricia Irvin and Bailey Westra. We're going to be sending them certificates on behalf of Carmel Clay Schools with our appreciation for their involvement and teamwork in that evening. And Joe Calderazzo. Joe, can you come up, please? And it's the first time Joe has seen these individuals since that evening. Joe, would you like to say just a couple words?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Wall. Good evening. Before I spill this on your computer, I'm a physician. I have been a doctor for 34 years. I'm a pediatrician, actually. I'm a hematologist, but I also did 26 years of emergency medicine. And I have come across a few books in my career, more than just a few, and I know very little, and I've tried to read so much. But one thing that enters my mind is that a cardiac arrest that is suffered outside the hospital has approximately a 5% chance making it. That's 5 in 100. I feel very, you have no idea how I feel. The people of Carmel have done so much to make my life so much better. I had people like this that have saved my life, that have given me a reason to continue to go on and try to do good, to maybe rearrange some things in my life that maybe needed rearranging, like thinking about a retirement and stuff like that. But I want you to know from the bottom of my now newly vascularized heart by a wonderful surgeon and a great staff, you have no idea of how thankful I am. And although it's 0 degrees outside, how warm this city has been to me. You will always have a friend in me. And I love you for that. Thank you so much for saving my life. Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. If you can step over here, we'll get some pictures. If you'd go, Tricia, can we get some photos? We're going to take a few photos, and if the board would like, excuse me, if you would make the board parade, and then we'll come around and take photos. Board parade, I like that. And then we'll get your photo. Okay. Here we go. Let's go. I'll just stay down here. Okay, we have other recognition special presentations this evening. If I could have Principal Jill Smith come forward, please, to introduce the state Spell Bow champions, not only for Carmel Clay Schools, but the state. Wicherstedt. Congratulations, Jill.
Good evening. Yes, we did win first place in Carmel, and which those scores are then put into place with all the other schools in the state of Indiana through Purdue University, and I'm happy to say that Prairie Trace Elementary School not only for the first time won in Carmel, but we were placed #1 in the state. So we are very, very proud of those boys and girls. Should I go ahead and call their names up? Okay. Ali Ahadad, Akash Bomik, Serge Chandramali, Megan Lee, Tanush Mangalam, Dylan Parikshak, Emily Shu, Mansi Singh, he's not here, Claire Q, Carol Yu, and Michelle Zhao. And our wonderful Spell Ball coach, Leanne Matthews.
Another very special recognition this evening, if I could have Chris Crakey come forward. Ken, his father, was a colleague of mine, my first principal job down in Warwick County. So Ken was one of my prized mentors, and this is his son, Chris. So when I came here, at the parade, I was like, there's Chris, and you could see a lot of Ken in Chris. So you tell your dad he just got recognized.
Absolutely.
He's a good guy. He was the kind of guy that the first time you had to pack I-step test, you called Ken and said, Ken, how do you do this? And he said, come over at 6:30 tomorrow morning and I'll show you how to do it. And he did. So Chris, you're taking the legacy of your father, strong man. But the marching Greyhounds, those of us in the audience that have had the pleasure and privilege to see them at various competitions know how proud we are of them, representing not only at the state level but the national, Band of America, and then onto the Rose Parade. Commercial uninterrupted HGTV was fantastic. You guys look great. A lot of great shots of you. And we do have a video snip that we have tonight, so without further ado.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us here. I have brought 4 students with me. We left the other 239 at home. I hope nobody minds that, but it was going to be a little cold out in the parking lot, I think, for them. The Marching Greyhounds recently completed another outstanding competitive season. We finished our 2013 season with a second-place finish at the Indiana State Marching Band Championships, and also as the national runner-up at the Bands of America Grand National Championships, and also received the Caption Award for Outstanding Visual Performance at that. This represents our 26th appearance at the Indiana State Finals and 12th top 3 finish. And we have also now been a national finalist at the Bands of America Championships for 18 straight years, and this year represents our 8th top 3 finish nationally in those 18 years. So we're very, very proud of what the kids have accomplished as both this year and as part of a legacy extending back a number of years. As a result of our 2012 national championship, we did receive an automatic invitation to attend the Tournament of Roses Parade. And did so this past January, just a few weeks ago on January 1st. The kids were in Pasadena and the greater Los Angeles area from December 28th all the way to January 3rd, and were fantastic all the way through the entire process. The entire trip went off without a hitch, and we just had a great time, and we're especially thankful that we were able to represent Carmel Clay Schools and the city of Carmel and Carmel High School nationally in that broadcast, and we were just thrilled. So, our 243 members tonight are going to be represented by our 4 drum majors for the group, Mr. Vincent Majoli, Miss Serena Allison, Miss Grace Hahn, and Mr. Jack Dinger. And on behalf of these 4 students, myself, and the other 3 band directors at the high school, Mike Pote, Andy Cook, and Kyle Young, we'd just like to extend our thanks to the school board, all of the ASC administrators, the administration at Carmel High School for allowing us to continue to have these kind of opportunities with kids. They have truly had some once-in-a-lifetime experiences over the last few years as part of this group, and we're just very, very thankful that we have those opportunities. We do have a short video that one of our students prepared, Danny Yount, who's one of the seniors in the marching band, prepared about a 5-minute video. It's got some excerpts from the the competition show that we did this fall, along with some of the judges' commentary synced up with that from our national finals appearance, and then also some of the coverage from the Rose Parade. So again, enjoy, and thank you very, very much.
Joining us from Carmel, Indiana, please welcome the Carmel High School Marching Band.
One performance. It's about every one of those 300 and some odd hours of sweating and tears and rain and cold and every other thing that you've been through. You are off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting. So get on your way. And let's go do this, Carmel, yeah? Okay, not one person left behind here.
Carmel's program is titled Totem.
Oh, what a gorgeous orchestrational moment there, and delivered by the performers tremendously. Yeah.
It's like, wow, I cannot believe how you put this together. I mean, the spatial responsibilities and the musical connection is so strong. Bravo.
Impressed with you, color guard, and the shaping of the bodies, how expressive those choices are, but how you go for it too.
Yeah, done on an extremely high level. Sense of musicality and the evolution and development of the form. I think one of the greatest effects you had was the way the forms evolve and develop and create visual musicality over time. And anywhere you look on the field, it's something that makes sense visually to what we're hearing.
The Carmel High School Marching Band.
We're excited to be a part of and very appreciative that we were asked to participate.
Carmel High School Marching Band up unusually early on a Saturday morning.
A little sleepy probably, but they are very excited. They worked very hard.
This is the plane they took over on their way to La La Land to march in the Land of Roses. Band members tweeting this picture and a number of others documenting their journey, a journey that took a lot of people and effort to make happen.
Details.
So be sure to catch the group of musicians on New Year's Day. They're expecting to make a lot of noise in Pasadena.
The Rose Bowl will know that Carmel High School is there.
Marching Greyhounds, Director Chris Crakey are joining us here. You know, some offer a penny for your thoughts. Well, the bright students of Carmel, Indiana asked their local neighbors and businesses for pennies for Pasadena, a thoughtful approach to fund each of the approximately 15,500 steps that this high school's Marching Greyhounds will take this morning. And they evidently got all those pennies.
Our thanks to Audi, whose support allows us to enjoy this morning's playful majesty.
Looking back at a couple of those pictures of Pasadena, I'm kind of wishing we were back there right now. Thank you again very, very much.
Well, congratulations once again to our first responders as well as our student champions. We truly admire all of your dedication, and we're very proud of you. We do have one other special event going on this evening, our district update, which is our Spotlight on Excellence. And what we do with this little part of the meeting is to bring a present to some of the really exciting ideas, exciting, what am I looking for? It's a way for us to showcase and celebrate some of the really exciting, innovative ideas that we have going on in the school system. And with that, we are celebrating WHCE's 50th anniversary. And we have Mr. Brian Spielbeller.
Well, to start, on a personal note, I'm now a Carmel resident. My kids will go to Prairie Trace, which has been honored today. I'm a football coach, and I was in the press box at the moment that we acknowledged the first responders, and Steve and Mar are friends of mine, and that night was the epitome of excellence, and not just on the field, but then I was also at the hospital later that night for another moment of excellence, which was in a different regard. But and then, you know, with the marching band as a football coach, I've always prided myself on being intense and enthusiastic, and I am nothing compared to the marching band sponsors and coaches. I've seen and witnessed their practices. They're there way before we get there, and they stay until we, well after we leave. But excellence breeds excellence, and I'm realizing that more and more as I've been here now my 8th year. And we just recognized our 50th anniversary. 1963 was the first year that the radio station began broadcasting. And I thought it would be fitting to give a little perspective on the last 50 years and spotlight some of the different points of excellence that the station has had over those 50 years. And then at the end, I'd like a couple of our student managers to come up and provide a testimony to how they have been impacted by the radio station and how it's achieved excellence in them. Just as an overview quickly, we are a 400-watt station. We are FCC licensed, and we recently went through a license renewal that you are required to do every 8 years, and I was up here a few years back informing you guys on that process. Carmel Clay Schools is the licensee, and the governing body is actually the folks in front of me. We are a non-commercial educational station, so we depend on contributions from listeners, from for-profit entities, and then we are extremely blessed and lucky to have the support of our school board and of our school corporation, and do receive funds. And that is not something in today's age that is always expected or common, but it is something that we depend on, and we appreciate always being considered with that. That's our coverage map. If we were to tune into 91.3, really in any of those different areas, you would be able to listen to us. We say that we are basically Hamilton County's radio station. We are the only radio station that is FCC licensed that's in Carmel by address, and we can be received well south of about 56th Street in Marion County. One thing I don't think a lot of people understand is the rich history of high school radio, and that Indiana is at the forefront of that. We are one of 20 individual high school run stations in the state of Indiana. That's by far more than any other state. The Midwest has a rich tradition in high school radio. Illinois has about 14. Ohio, Michigan has a few, but there's many states that have no high school radio stations. And in this area, for some reason or another, has just always supported that. High School Radio Day was established a few years ago, and it's to celebrate just all of the different high school stations. And in terms of the radiated power, WHJE is in the upper third of all radio stations at 400 watts, the largest being a station in Arizona that is close to 10,000 watts. There's not really much else out there, so that's why they can have so much power. That's a map. I actually spent winter break doing this. My kids make fun of me because I did this, but I went through and plotted all the different high school radio stations in the country, and thought it would be interesting to look at it from that perspective. And we've been linking up with them through Facebook and Twitter, and we have links to all their websites, and that's an element of our website that people can enjoy. It shows not only where the radio station is, but then also the circle is the coverage area of that radio station. And that station I was speaking of, I don't think I have a pointer on this, is out there in Arizona. You can see the huge circle around there. Okay, now to our radio station. Dana told me I had 7 minutes, which to me meant 14, so I hope that you're okay with that. 1960, we actually began a ham radio club at Carmel High School. It came from students that were in electronics class, and they wanted to put to practice the principles that they were learning, and so they encouraged Mr. Earl Lemmy at the time to help them sponsor a club, and he donated all the necessary equipment at the time. And the original ham's license that was granted by the FCC was K9UNJ, and it was one of 10 radio stations, ham radio stations, licensed to Indiana high schools. And interestingly, Earl Lemmy was responsible for 3 of those 10 at the time at other high schools in the state. In 1963 is when we were officially licensed as a FCC non-commercial FM radio station. WHJE were the call letters that we were given. We started broadcasting on August 16th. It was a fish fry through the Carmel's Lions Club. Carmel Lions Club was a huge supporter and donor of most of the $5,000 that was raised. I actually had a 50-year-old document in my hand from a 1962 special meeting of the board that was in the cafeteria of high school, and it was talking about the minutes of the meeting where they were discussing Mr. Lemmy's petition to the board to have the radio station and what the scope would be, and we actually spent a lot of time in our preparation for the 50-year anniversary to frame all of these historical documents, and it's something that I would like to offer, not today with me, but when we put it all together to have here, that we could display here some of those original documents, original licenses, and so on. We broadcast baseball, or basketball, football, and other special programs, and we were only live for about 3 hours a day back then. Fast forward to 1967, we moved out of a log cabin, which is what the original home of the station was, and we moved into what was known as the pit, which was in the main building. The move prompted an increase in wattage, and we were able to be heard over a 30-mile radius. And the slogan at the time was that WHJE would inform and entertain, and that's still something that we try to do today. There's a balance between providing entertainment for our listeners and music and variety shows and such, but also to really be dedicated to informing our community and bringing awareness to the people that make up Carmel Clay Schools. In 1971, Mr. Lemmy retired, and in the study of this history, I really became infatuated with Earl Lemmy. He taught for 40 years. He was an assistant superintendent at Carmel for 6 years. He was the principal of Carmel High School for 5 years, and the man taught physics, biology, English, physical education, health, and electronics in his 40-year career. His wife also was a teacher, and she retired from Carmel Clay Schools in the same year, and between them they had 70 years of educational experience. So he's a stud, and we really owe a lot to Earl Lemmy. Okay, 1972, Mr. Scott Gregg took over, and he was a longtime station manager for us. At that time, through the 70s, we had some great alumni come through. I don't know that it was in the 70s that this particular one, but Paul Mendenhall, who can be heard on WTTS now in the mornings, is a WHG alum. Dave Dugan, who's a well-known comedian and voice actor. And then later on, people like Steve Inskeep, who is the host of Morning Edition at NPR, all WHJE grads. We broadcast a 25-hour marathon, which helped us raise money. We became one of the first high schools in the nation to actually be an affiliate of a UPI wire, to own a UPI wire, which at the time was the most immediate way to transfer news. That is when we actually bumped up to our 400-watt station, and then we did finally move out of what they know as the pit to our current location, which is in the C hallway of the high school. Through the 80s, we continued to innovate. Mr. Greg Shaheen, who's pictured here, he was actually at the head of the NCAA basketball tournament selection committee. He's a WHJ alumni. He put together a fundraiser which allowed the station to transform from mono to stereo, and a few years prior we became one of the few stations in the nation to have an automation system which protected us because we were able to operate live 365 days a year, 24/7, and most high school stations were not able to do that, and that put them at risk of losing their license to groups that wanted to share time. Through the late 80s and 90s, Tom Scholler became the radio station. We went from from albums to CDs. We changed formats to more alternative music. We started to receive national recognition, and then we started to really get involved in the community and raise money for organizations such as Riley. And we were also, again, another example of excellence, one of the first stations to high school stations to have a website. And WHJE.com has been in existence now for basically about 13 to 14 years. Early 2000s, you could hear live shows basically all day long and all day on Saturday. We were awarded Station of the Year in 2003. We quickly got away from CDs and then went to digital audio files, and then I became the radio station manager in 2006. And then kind of a more contemporary look at what we do. In 2008, we underwent a $500,000 facility renovation and equipment upgrade. We are by far, and it's not an opinion, it's a fact, we are at the forefront of radio facilities for high school radio stations. There's really no question about it. And in most cases, when students graduate our program, they go to college and they get involved in telecommunications, they take a step down in equipment. And this upgrade really allowed us to do all of the things that we do today. Since I've been here, we've won the Station of the Year in the state of Indiana 3 times, 2008, 2009, and then again last year. We really put a lot of attention into social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and such. And we partnered with our other communications branches, and we created the Greyhound Media Network. We really have a strong journalism and communications, and our department chair, Terry Ramos, is obviously one of the biggest reasons, and the leadership that we've had and the support that we've had from our principal, from you, that we can have student-led media and that we can trust students with that responsibility, I think is a testament to our community. Now, in terms of currently, what are we up to? We have 120 students enrolled in radio. That's a staff of 50, and then about 70 students that are in the radio lab class. We now carry a weighted credit at our highest level, so all seniors that are in the radio program actually receive a weighted credit. We broadcast over 100 sporting events. So far this year, we've done football, basketball, volleyball, soccer, baseball, and hockey. We will also do baseball and softball and lacrosse in the spring. We've had a presence at 50 community events thus far. We do a lot with elementary schools. So if you have a 3rd grade ice cream social at 3:30, we're the guys to call to DJ that shindig. And we do things with Parks and Rec. We're going to host a Cub Scout night coming up in February where we invite all the local troops. And then also some of the things that we're really focusing on today are feature projects. We do music reviews, commentaries. We actually have brought back old school radio dramas from the golden age, the 30s and the 40s, and it's probably the most popular thing that we do. And we are really focused on trying to allow the students to have professional materials when they walk out the door, audition CDs. And we've had many students, whether they go into broadcasting or not, are able to pull upon the skills that they receive in our program and apply them in many different ways. So with that, I would like to bring up a few of our student managers. and I would like them to just speak for about 30 seconds to you on what it really means to them and how this radio station has impacted them. So we'll start with whomever comes up first. They're all going to stand back. Watch this. Okay, so this is Sarah Weiser, and she's our news director.
WHG being involved has been honestly amazing. It's made my high school experience that much better. It's been awesome. But definitely the most that I've gotten out of it is being involved in the community, not just at Carmel High School, but in different aspects of the community. Like I've interviewed the school board members, and I've been actively involved with other high school people, I guess. But it's been really fun, and I've honestly gotten so much out of it, and it's made my high school experience really awesome, and I loved it. Love it.
Next is Sam Pickett. He's our public relations director.
Yes, I'm the public relations director, so I'm the one who goes out in the community and is the one who DJs, kind of like the third grade ice cream socials. And WHA has really helped me a lot in the sense of developing a lot of professional skills. I'm very well prepared to go out and take on responsibilities of leadership. That is one thing that this position has taught me is communicating with people a lot and also taking responsibility for successes and also for failures. And again, like Sarah said, being involved in the community and just kind of really experiencing all that Carmel has to offer. So, thank you.
Next is Rachel Otto. She's our production director.
Yeah, hi. So I do all the behind the scenes stuff, and all four of us, we've taken a ton of classes and learned a lot at our time at Carmel. But I think that as we go to all 4 different colleges, I think in 4 different states too, to pursue different career paths and majors, I think that out of everything that we've learned at Carmel, the lessons that we've learned at WHJE are easily the ones that we're going to remember the most. All the things that Spills taught us, things that if we didn't do, we would face his wrath. Like motivation, determination, work ethic, organization, responsibility, all these things that aren't just beneficial to us in high school and in radio, but that will help us when we go out and we have to, face the real world all by ourselves. So I think that that's really the essence of excellence, and we do that at WHJE.
And finally, Josh Abiku, who's our program director.
Thank you. I was reading the slogan on the wall there, and it says, experience excellence, explore opportunities, and realize potential. In short, the experience that we have at WHJE allows us to do just that. I'm working closely with Mr. Spillbeller. I'm working closely with my associates here and also the second-year students, and that really gives me an opportunity to hone and to fine-tune skills that I'm going to need to use in the real world. And I want to thank the school board and the superintendents for supporting us in everything that we do because it means so much to us. I know it means a lot to Mr. Spillbeller and the rest of the Carmel community. And it means a lot to me. I mean, it's a great network of people that I can get to know and be friends with. And even when it comes to alumni, I know that I have people that I can reach out to when I need to get jobs or help on, what they call it, resumes and things like that. So this program really is something that I can sink my teeth into and just dive into and have a great time with it.
So I don't really do much, as you can tell. We are... every year, you come across a group of students and you think you'll never get better students than what you had this year, and every year they prove you wrong. So, every class that I've had has been more impressive than the next, and these guys are no exception. And we do appreciate your time. I'm sure that we went over time, but we appreciate all the support that you've given us, and hopefully we have another great 50 years. So, thank you very much.
Families, as we break, please take your time on the roads. Be very careful getting home, and enjoy your day off tomorrow.
Oh.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Seeing that we have not had anybody sign up for public participation, we'll move right into consent. May I get a motion to approve consent?
So moved.
Second? Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
First action item on the agenda will be brought to us by Mr. McMichael.
Okay, this is annual routine. We build the budget, as the board knows, in the summer, so we're ultimately about 18 months ahead by the time that budget is finished. And so each year we ask authorization to redistribute appropriations. This is a process where we're not asking to spend more money, just basically moving appropriations into the accounts that are short and reducing accounts that have excess appropriation. And that's what this report represents.
Thank you very much. May I get a motion to approve the recommendation for the appropriation? Mr. Phillips?
I so move.
Second? Second. Mrs. Hackett? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Next action item, we have the school funding resolution from Dr. Wall.
Thank you, Leila. As we presented at the last board meeting, the Hamilton County school corporations, as well as the municipalities, cities, and town councils, have and are suggesting a joint resolution to draw attention to the passage of the circuit breaker and elimination of personal property taxes. This is a culmination of several meetings with the municipalities as well as superintendents, and we believe this joint resolution is unprecedented for Hamilton County to be united on this matter, but also just to raise awareness to the challenges that we face as a result of this legislation. So we recommend approval of this resolution this evening.
May I get a motion to approve recommendation of the approval of the Hamilton County School Funding Resolution?
So moved.
Second? Second. Mr. Phillips, discussion. Ms. Nels.
Yes. I was wondering, have you all decided to have a news conference or to present any of this information so that a lot of people in the state will understand what you're doing?
We're going to have a follow-up meeting as soon as everyone can pass this resolution and discuss that very topic. I think we threw the idea out. We want to make sure everybody has it approved and then have a joint release of that statement.
Okay. One more question.
I think it's a good
Do you know how
suggestion,
many
though.
legislators are covered by Hamilton County?
I don't know a number right off the top of my head.
Okay. All right.
I don't have that
Thank
number, but they've all been talked to and met with. I can tell you that.
Just wondering how many.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mrs.
I had one question. As I read through it, has the Carmel City Council and the Carmel Mayor, have they also signed this or signed on to this?
They will be. I've had discussions with Mayor Brainerd about this. It is going to go forth to the City Council, and I don't know which meeting, but it's forthcoming.
Great, because I think that shows that it's It's really an inclusive effort, and these laws affect our schools, but it affects our whole communities. I thought that was really important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you happen to know which one of the entities have signed on yet? Have adopted
Who
the
has passed
resolutions?
this?
Mhm.
I don't know how many and when they have, but that confirmation that all are going to do that.
Okay. Any other discussion items? Questions? Yes, Mr. Phillips.
I want to thank Dr. Wall for bringing this resolution to us. I hope you'll feel freedom to give full voice to these sentiments at every opportunity, speaking for this board. And I really appreciate your willingness to stand shoulder to shoulder with other districts that are far less fortunate than our own in this very adverse tax situation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other discussion items? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. Moving right along. Approval of bylaw 167.3, public participation.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Wall. Thank you for the opportunity to bring to you tonight one bylaw for a second reading. It does seem like it's been so long ago since we had a first reading. It was all the way last year when we talked about this. So, as you recall, this is bylaw 0167.3, public participation at board meetings. This was a ongoing part of our ongoing review and cleanup of our Carmel Clay Schools bylaws and policies. And this is the last segment of the breaking up of policy 1105, and this puts our last pieces in place with this bylaw revision. This is a second reading. We bring it to you tonight for your review and passing. It does include several recommendations that you made at that last meeting. The policy committee has scrutinized those recommendations and included those in this bylaw.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dillon. May I get a recommendation for approval of, or may I get a motion for approval of this recommendation? Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, Leila. I move approval of bylaw 167.3, public participation at board meetings as amended.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Niles. Discussion. I actually do have a discussion. Just wanted to point out, I wanted to point out some of the changes that we made as the policy committee when reviewing the discussion from the previous meeting on December 16th. We wanted to point out that we emphasized that the board's primary purpose is to hold a board meeting, yet maintained our interest in public participation. We included the collaborative process and timeline for reviewing agendas or agenda requests and the response time with which we need to give those who are requesting to be added to the agenda. And we also cleaned up language in the guiding principles for public participation, which reflect the board's primary purpose for meeting. We think we addressed all of the concerns, and if there's something more, please share that with us. But we tried to take a very comprehensive overhaul and listen to the meeting yet again to make sure that we included all the comments. Mr. Phillips.
I should like to point out that this particular bylaw, in my judgment, is a very good example of the fine work that this board has been doing in recent months with Dr. Dillon and the two policy committee members. There's a lot of work that goes into fashioning these policies, and in the process, with input from Dr. Dillon and from other sources, these people work hard to frame something, and then they solicit input from the rest of the board. And it's quite a lengthy process with a lot of work, but in the end, I think we get a policy which is solid.
Thank you very much. Other discussion items? Okay, ready to take a vote. All in favor of supporting policy 167.3, make sure I have that right? Mm-hmm. Yes, 167.3, public participation. Signify by saying aye. Aye.
Hey, just kidding.
What? Are you and I? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Moving on to reports, we have Dr. Wall.
Thank you, Leila. It's very exciting and energizing to report that since November 24th, 2013, when we passed these goals and adopted them, that I can report to the board that we have traction in all areas. And by that I mean, I consider goals a work in progress, and hence the reports to the board and to the community on progress toward these goals, I think, is important in that we want this to be a continuous improvement effort. And I really applaud all those sitting to my left in the administration for embracing this continuous improvement model that really was here before Nick Wall was here, and just a continuation of those kind of discussions and thoughts and now actions, which is very important, that we're getting things done. You got it up there, Ray? How did that? Okay, I didn't program that up.
It's on mine.
Who's, yeah, but I'm not, it's not off my screen. Okay.
We'll go back to that. Go back. No, go to there.
Okay, Dana, it's,
And then click there.
yeah, I know, it got taken away. We had loaded as a PowerPoint earlier, so.
Oh.
And it's not. This'll work. But I don't know where the actual PowerPoint went. I don't see it. But anyway, it's an exciting report that, and faculty and staff have embraced the collaborative initiatives too. And I'll highlight some of those in the report this evening. I think it's important to realize that when we started this process with Michael Adamson, we did reflect on the vision statement that was here, and I think really works well with the student-centered matrix model and looks very closely, continues to look closely at experiencing excellence, exploring opportunities, and realizing potential. And that really embraces what we're about. Oh, that's not what I want. Let's see. Now we're in business. Let's shrink that down. Sorry, I don't know why this isn't in PowerPoint format. Mission statement continues to reflect our marching orders, so to speak. The mission is marching out what the vision says to do. And the matrix. Okay. And I appreciate everyone embracing the concept of student-centered decision-making as we look at the goal areas and the research information and standards alignment, which I'll talk about in a slide when we talk about the middle school programming work. Is this not coming through very good?
I'm a tech. If you hit that thing, that'll, yeah, that one right there. Just allow it. Perfect.
Okay.
Now, to advance it, you do the page down or page up.
Very good. Thank you.
I'll stay here for a second. Just make sure.
All right. And we'll go through the matrix.
Thanks, Christy.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Good job.
We have excellent teamwork. And then when we peel off the student-centered model and we look at the well-being and student achievement, we want to look at the increasing opportunities for our students and student achievement as well as their well-being. And you'll see more details on this as we look at the example of this in a micro level at the middle school programming that is commencing this semester. The 5 goals, I'm very hopeful by our next meeting they will be on the wall behind Mr. Phillips. They are in, as to say, at the press right now. Right, Dana? And we look forward to giving information on those. The format for the presentation this evening is, these are the goals that we passed November 24th in each area. The following slide, which is in a lighter color, talks about the ongoing work in progress under each area. And I'm very pleased to report that as Dr. Dudley has oversight as the Chief Academic Officer, the Common Core standards have been implemented as they look at literacy adoption, as well as the social studies and world language program evaluations that are ongoing this year. We've had preliminary discussions with the College Board representatives on the student growth model and have a meeting scheduled to talk with them in great detail about that student growth model, and look forward to sharing those results back with you at the board level, as well as then contingent on that getting traction, more traction, we'll sit down and talk it over with our teachers and as well as our administration. But that work, and again, that goal is to do exploration of student growth models this year. That work has begun. Again, in Dr. Dudley's department, there was an interest to look at e-learning grants as we look at the integration of technology into instruction. That has been successful. Grant was written and obtained to allow the administration and teachers to explore opportunities to integrate technology into daily instruction as we look at a professional development model for this summer. Correct, Amy?
Correct.
So that's not only on the way, but has been executed and obtained. Student advisory, I've been meeting with student advisory at Carmel High School since the beginning of the year, and that has become a very informative group to have a student voice represented. And John Williams does a great job with that, with his leadership over there. I have a very eclectic group representing Carmel Clay Schools by design, and it's very, from my seat selfishly, great to sit down and listen to the energy and ideas and reflections on how they feel as a student walking through all of our schools, because they represent population from each of our middle schools as well. So that's been very beneficial. Look for more information on the high-performing schools legislation. Carmel High School has begun crafting ideas, and will be getting fine-tuned to bring back for the board for a future report, but that is in the works. That's moving. The piece that I alluded to earlier, looking at the current delivery model of instruction and how we deliver middle school education. That committee has been assembled. It represents teachers from all levels, elementary, middle, and high school. We felt, as we organized and planned this with the middle school principals, that it was very important that all three levels were represented in that committee, as we are a pre-K through 12 world. And I'm very pleased to report all three levels are represented on that committee and engaged in the practice of looking at, and I'll show you the next slide. Big kudos out to the middle school principals and Amy, all of us looking at this and how we could deliver and organize how we want to look at middle school level instruction. And it's a spin-off of our student-centered matrix model, which, again, we've got some excellent visual administrators, so big kudos to them. This month we met, and student-centered brain research has been reviewed by the committee as it relates to the developmental uniqueness and of the adolescent learner. Physiologically, middle school students in that prepubescent and adolescent growth, physiologically, it's the second largest growth spurt of their life, next to between 0 and 3. So it's significant, to say the least. We kicked it off in this room. I was impressed with the level of interest, energy, excitement and knowledge of teachers, administrators on this committee. The next efforts will be going on from February to April of this year, which is, we're in phase 1, as you can see at the bottom of this slide. And the 3 groups will be looking at the student well-being of middle school age students, student achievement, and potential organizational structures. Now, as we kick this off, I said to the committee, first of all, let me tell you what this committee is not being formed to do. They're not being formed just to come in and say, let's go back to teaming. That's exactly what we need to do. We want them to really be fully engaged in the research and look at these 3 levels and these 3 areas and come back to us with findings in May. And what I mean by that is they're going to research these areas very thoroughly, come back and report to the group as a whole. We'll reassemble in May and look at what each group has, subcommittee has found in that particular area. And based upon their findings, we're going to come back, there'll be a board report back as a quarterly goals report to show those findings not only to you, the board, but to the public to say this is where we're at. And they also know that they're not coming in to just make recommendations in May, and that's what we're going to do. We do not see implementation of these ideas until 15-16, which is phase 4. So I want to go to the end and then I'll bounce back. Phase 2, after the findings report is done, will be work this summer through fall, looking at these findings, looking at an action plan, development of program, or I would say operationalize the findings from the group. That will be a spin-off of the larger committee that is working now. Now, we also had discussion about the value of listening to parents and students throughout this process. So what we're going to utilize is parent focus groups, where committee members will be meeting with parent and student focus groups to get feedback on their experiences at middle school now and previous. And just for reference, our juniors had some middle school teaming and some not. Our seniors are the last class to have a full teaming experience, and our freshmen are the first class not to have any teaming at all. So we have a rich source of information there for our student focus groups to sit with them and listen to anecdotally, and we do have an opportunity to look at it empirically as well by the experiences and maybe some of the data as represented by these groups. So I just say that as a point of reference, and we think that there's value in talking with these students. Also, that means we have parents representing these students who have had experience at a middle school with teaming and without, and some with 3 full years, back to the seniors, to the juniors, to the freshmen. And we plan to listen to them as well. So we feel like it's important to have all those factions represented and listened to. As a result of that, then we look for training in November 14 through May 15 as a result of where we want to go with this thing, and this thing we call middle school, and implementation for the 15-16 school year. So that's how we're mapping it out. So I wanted the committee's aware of this. I wanted to make you, the board, aware of this. This is not something we see for 14-15. That would be short-sighted and not give it time to get the proper review it needs. And Amy was kind enough to show me kind of the evolution or de-evolution of our middle school from 2000 on. And it's an opportunity to do a program evaluation, and that's what we intend to do. And so I want to let the board know there's a lot of enthusiasm around this topic and a lot of energy, as it does touch the middle experience of all of our students. It's a vital time. So that's really a snapshot showing our matrix in motion, so to speak, engaging people in the process. Communication, as we know, that's something that's vital and important. And I thought we had a very significant piece of improved communication, and I give Tricia Reynolds and Christy Cloud kudos for the best practice for use of social media. And one of the other things we want to make sure is when we talk about communication, we then implement with people, and that best practice was shared with buildings as well as the coordinating council, so we can communicate out to our parent representatives as well. So appreciate all those. Where Expedition continues to be and should be a very strong community outreach and communication, and that only gets better with each time. Regular dissemination of media information. I've had the privilege to present the goals and the story. I think it's really important to keep telling our story because it's a great story to tell, and a story that if anybody was watching tonight and will watch tonight, what a great story we saw at the beginning of this meeting. And I've had a really great opportunity to share it with a number of groups in Greater Carmel, with the goals presentation at the Rotary Chamber Foundation, business leaders, and our sister city group winter gathering. So I think that's really important for that story to continue to be told. Finance, it actually was pretty active financial 2 quarters. Thank you, Roger, very much. And state and federal funding monitored, and budget was adjusted accordingly. As we know, the collective bargaining process was completed for 13-14, and salary and benefits for 12-13 implemented for teachers in accordance with the IRB ruling. As I stated earlier, I've had the great fortune, and Roger as well, at some level, meeting with our state legislators to represent the interests of Carmel Clay Schools as it relates to the funding formula, as well as the impact of unfunded mandates on all of us. That's a critical piece to the education community, and that just has to be a consistent message back to them. As we saw tonight, the joint resolution was passed. Thank you very much. Talking to David Day, he has no recollection of the entire Hamilton County coming together like that, and I think that's what we need to do. I think those are the things that carry weight and carry an appropriate message. You as a board were presented and adopted a balanced budget for 2014. Continue to explore alternative opportunities for revenue. I don't have anything to share of substance, but I think in this game we should continue to look to that and listen to that. And there'll be more reports back to you as a board on that topic. Our facilities may not seem like a lot, but these are significant items to our world. Demographic and building capacity studies have been updated, and we do not see redistricting for 14-15 in Carmel Clay Schools. It's something that we'll continue to keep in front of you. Thank you, Dr. Dillon, for all your efforts on that. We continue to look for update reports. I am working with Mayor Brainerd and his demographers to look at their demographics compared to what our demographics said. And as soon as we can get a meeting, Steve and I will be meeting with the city of Carmel to compare. I think that's definitely a topic that we're going to be smarter together than apart. We have a common interest there. So we look forward to sitting down with the city officials and compare what their notes say. And it's important that what we know about demographics and building capacity is merged with the current model for facility renovation. I give Ron props for that with Roger's oversight as we continue to look at making sure our buildings have what they need, projecting forward and current, because it's vital to take care of everyone in the building today as well as for years to come. And we are a people business. About 16,000 strong with students and over 2,000 employees. And it gives me great pleasure to report that these are great people to work with. I'm very excited to be here and work with conscientious and, frankly, nice people. Nice is underrated. Trust me on that. But the spirit of collaboration and problem-solving, I think, continues to take hold as we meet monthly with the association leadership in a spirit of conducting and trying to establish, above all, no surprises approach, and continue to work very diligently to do things with people in Carmel Clay schools as opposed to them. The teacher evaluation piece, we share an interest, we being the administration and teachers, to take a look at what we're doing and how we're doing it. And we believe that this topic, being one of such a strong interest and strong passion, because I think, I've had the opportunity of coming in kind of as almost a third party to this and talking with both teachers and administrators, all looking for the same thing, improving instruction in what we do for our kids, but all approaching it maybe from a different seat. So as we get this committee together, and I give Amy and Ryan a lot of props for this because they've thought about this very carefully and talked to the association, we think it'd be better served to have a third party facilitate this committee so as those passions and interests can be fine-tuned into that same common interest, improving what we do for our kids. And I think that I don't think we do that all the time, but I think sometimes that's a good idea. And we're looking forward to getting that work done. The SEL and 21st century skills, that's, again, for this year, that's just putting in there as a work in progress to embed that. It's very encouraging, though, as I listened to different presentations, and I was listening to, bless you, Todd at Clay Middle School, and I was hearing a lot of SEL and all these things that are being a part of the vernacular, and that's the purpose of this year, just to get that vocabulary out there. We will continue to look for opportunities to discuss our professional development that we have with our teachers and for our administrators. Look for more reports in the third quarter on the organizational structure. I have had the great pleasure of sitting down with our administrators and many individuals that are currently in the district and some that have retired, and just listened. What are the needs of our 15 schools and school community? So as this comes to fruition, there'll be some suggested structures for the board to consider coming in the third quarter. The next item, this is where I commend the staff for all the hard work they do. Our staff that work day to day, from instructional assistants to our building secretaries, they're our gatekeepers and our first line for our community and our students. And I'm very pleased to report that we have human resource procedures now that recognize and clarify what they do, how they do it, how we take care of them, from overtime to access to our computer network and resources. Very excited. And that took a lot of listening and dialogue, and the administrative team sharing their insights and thoughts. The good news is they're doing what they do and they have the resources to do it, and we thank them for that. The cycle, I kept this on because even though we started in November, we're still kind of right where we should be for this time of year. So mid-year, we're right on. And you as a board, February and March, whenever that would work for a board self-governance review. I'm pleased to report that we're moving right along, and things are getting done, and it's exciting to see that. As I said, November, now it's the time to get things done, and that's exciting.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Wall, for that comprehensive overview of the goals and then the progress you've been making with our teachers and administrators as well. I open up questions to the board.
Yes, back on goal number 3, finance, you said that you have meetings scheduled and conducted with state legislators regarding the impact of the state funding formula on CCS. Do you happen to have a handout or something that you have presented to them that we could use or have or reference when we're talking to them, or so anything that you do
Okay.
with the legislators, if we could have that information as well, I think that would be very helpful.
Sure. What Roger and I presented the last meeting, we've kept up on the website. That's a really good talking sheet.
It's on the website.
Mm-hmm. We put that up after the last meeting. Those are some really good talking points for Senate Bill 517 as well as Circuit Breaker. And so those are handouts that I would highly recommend for you to have for talking points, and it covers that. And anything else we have, we'll put on the website and get to you as well.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
You bet. But I would start with those two. Those cover the resolution very clearly.
Mrs. Hackett?
Just want to interject quickly. On the website, where?
Should be on Hot Topics, right, Dana? Is that where you put
Okay.
it? Mhm.
I did have a couple more questions, but I don't have it outlined in a good way. So what I'll try to do is hit on a couple, and then if I need to do a follow-up email. On actually the Goal 1, Action Step 1, Common Core Standards and the gap analysis. Can you explain a little bit further where we are on that exact gap analysis we're looking at?
Well, the first thing I wanted to report is that it's being implemented in all of our review. Amy and I have met, and a lot of that work was done last year by the curriculum people, as far as getting Common Core in there. Now, the challenge is, as we've discussed, where the Indiana standards are. And, well, as we saw in the State of the State address, there's clearly a move toward that. But despite that, I mean, it's clear to us that the Common Core is still a direction from the state level, and it's frankly a rigorous direction that I think would be embraced by our teachers and our students anyway. But as Amy and I debriefed, I'll let Amy speak to that a little bit. A lot of things have been done on the gap analysis prior to, so that we can implement them as we do adoptions.
And as we looked at the gap analysis, we wanted to make sure that in this transition of moving to Common Core, where our students are still being assessed on the regular Indiana standards that we have on ISTEP, we wanted to make sure that there were no gaps in their opportunity to learn so that they could be successful on ISTEP as well. So we looked at, we analyzed the current Indiana standards as well as the Common Core standards, and we made sure that wherever there were holes, teachers were very aware of the pieces that they needed to make sure students have the opportunity to learn to be successful on ISTEP and also the ECA, the end-of-course assessments. So, and as we are right now, our current information from the state is for us to continue with the state Common Core standards until we hear otherwise. Yeah.
I had one more question, really. On Communication Goal 2 and the CCS expedition, we just hear great feedback from that, and it's even fun to just be there and hear information and watch people hear it for the first time of what we're doing. I am curious, any kind of efforts we're taking on how that message is carried further. For example, our first, second, third classes, how they take what they've learned and how it's maybe changed their conversation they're having with others. So the one piece being us telling our story, but then how is it, I don't know the right answer, surveying or whatever, but how is that message sticking so that network goes forth? How can we measure that?
One thing I know, we continue to invite them back each year. I know Tricia does.
There's a couple ways that we keep in touch with
Uh-oh.
There's a couple ways that we try to keep in touch with our past expedition members. One example is every year the superintendent sends them a Christmas card, or a holiday card, forgive me. And another way that we do, we're working with Orchard Park right now, and we're hoping to send all of our past expedition members free tickets to the Taste of Carmel to invite them back. So it's a number of ways that we're really just trying to touch and stay involved with them.
Okay, that sounds great. I'm also kind of curious just on, and I'm not sure how we do this, or this is probably a whole conversation, but how do we know how effective we're being in an ongoing manner?
How is the message being carried forward?
It will be difficult to quantify the touches because a lot of it is not specific. It's not going to be quantity or quality. People will be doing it in side conversations. We could do a survey for sure with our past members. I know that we're constantly getting positive feedback from past members, as well as a number of recommendations are coming in now where we're not even seeking out members. For next year, we've already got several people who have been encouraged to participate. So more secondhand information at this point, but we could definitely get some more concrete data.
Okay, and I'm not asking anybody to do any survey. I'm just curious on, as we go forward, that might be something we look at on how we measure that, or how we, I guess, measure our effectiveness and know how do we tweak that to keep that ongoing, or, you know, do people stay in touch for 5 years and then there needs to be something? I don't know the answer, but.
It's a good question. And we'll continue to look for opportunities to engage them. I'm always surprised how many show up. I mean, that, you know, just because they get invited, they just will show up at the next one, like at the last event. They were on last year, but they keep coming.
And they come back. So we have members that attended last year that will come back to sessions that they really enjoyed last year or they missed. So we still, I mean, we really get a lot of interaction. And we also try to share opportunities to keep in touch. So when Dr. Wall spoke, we invited our past expedition members to come and have one of the first opportunities to actually meet and talk with him.
It's a good point, though, because that builds that energy and can continued interest.
Thanks, Tricia.
Well, I have a quick question to piggyback, Tricia, or Dr. Wall. Just real fast. Those participants who come as a fill-in for somebody who can't be there are extremely engaged and can't believe all of the great information that's being shared. Has there been any thought to videotaping the expedition classes and putting them on YouTube for others to see? Because, I mean, the information is priceless.
You know, I haven't thought about doing that. The one thing that would make me think not to do that is, and that is what makes the expedition so special, is because it is that interaction, that almost one-on-one, or to have an opportunity to have a conversation directly with the assistant superintendent of curriculum. I mean, I think that's what really makes it special. And I think if we videotape it, I think we just take away from that, and the impact isn't going to be as great. Does that explain that?
Thank you. Ms. Snells.
To piggyback on that, are we continuing to look at ways to get our information is really great and it goes out to a lot of parents. But are we continuing to look at ways to get this out to parents, to people in the community who are non-parent, because they are the ones that need to know a lot more about the school system, because they don't get all the Twitters and all of the announcements and all of the things. And so I think it's important to keep them involved and not to forget that they are part of this community as well.
We did talk, Tricia and I, about, you know, empty nesters and even our progressive retirement communities, to stay in touch with them. So I know Tricia's done preliminary work on that, so that we do get information to them. We send them flyers, and the high school stays in touch with them about events, and there was follow-up on that.
And there's really, obviously, we've got a friend here from the Current in Carmel. We try to partner with them when we can, and other news sources like at Carmel Magazine to spread the word, which is another avenue to reach those people. Surprisingly, you would be surprised how many people actually are on Twitter and Facebook. East of Keystone is a real estate agent that is on WTHR, and oftentimes he's constantly retweeting us and praising us, and really reaches a lot of audience that we don't personally get to. So it amplifies our reach there. There's a couple other ways that we reach out to the senior community. An example would be not necessarily reaching out, having conversations with them about specific subject matters, but instead, for instance, we take artwork from our elementary schools and hang it in the walking track of Prime Life Senior Center and list the school, and they get to see the artwork, and we get rave reviews from the members there that just really enjoy that.
Thank you.
Mr. Phillips?
Thank you. Nick, just a general comment. I feel very good about your progress. On every single slide, it's a feel-good.
Thank you.
I'm confident this is going to be a good year for us all.
It's a good team. This is a we report, not an I report, so, but thank you very much.
Other comments or questions with regards to the PowerPoint? Well, thank you very much, Dr. Wall. Like I said, it was an excellent comprehensive report, and we are very excited to continue to watch your progress.
Thanks, Layla.
Moving along, we have board member reports. I do believe Mrs. Knowles has a report? No?
What?
Oh, I thought you said you did. Okay,
Yep.
well. Yes.
I'm just going to take this opportunity real quickly. Tomorrow night, the park board will meet at 6 p.m. and it is a it's a public hearing and open comment session on the idea of the park board purchasing Brookshire Golf Course. So just to let the community know that there is this hearing. 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. I think so. Butler's not closed.
Well, I had a brief report. On behalf of the board, I'd like to say thank you to the community for their support to our schools. The board, along with Dr. Wall, had an opportunity to attend the 2014 Indiana School Board Association's Winter Leadership Seminar. And at that particular conference, the board presented a seminar, a one-hour seminar on leadership with purpose, which was based on some of the best practice development in which Dr. Wall and the board has been engaged in. The presentation PowerPoint will be available online, and some other great insight we picked up on was some international academic benchmarks as well as the superintendent evaluation process. So we do appreciate the opportunity to attend and to gain more knowledge to support our district. Any other? Okay. Well then, on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. Please be very safe and careful tomorrow, as well as this evening getting home. Meeting adjourned.